We ended season 1, and the template for the entire season was, men behind bars. Our kind of, central meeting place for all our characters was a prison. And so that became a character that people were accustomed to. So in season 2, we were kind of reinventing, the tableau, as it were. We were, turning Fox River into the entire American landscape.
Paul's pitch for season 1 was in the prison, season 2 was on the run.
Prison Break season 2 has completely transformed and reinvented itself. I mean, it's completely a different show, yet with the same intensity.
It's the same characters in a completely different world, a whole new dynamic, then new characters thrown on top of it. It was a brand new show.
Season 1 was sort of like a slow burn, and season 2, it was like, okay, now the firecracker gets lit, and boom, we got fireworks all over.
The feel of the show changed radically because it was kind of every man for himself.
Well, you think you're pandy ass?
It's actually quite liberating as a writer to not be stuck in the same confines, season after season. And I think if we had remained in prison, I've always said the show is called Prison Break, not Prison Stay. And it's, if we had done that, I think people would have probably given up on the show if we hadn't actually moved forward.
Did you have a nice nap? Visions of 12-year-olds dancing in your head?
I think the biggest challenge was that script-wise, we had this central hub, which was Fox River, which, everyone kind of came in and out of Michael's life. Now, once they were outside the walls, the challenge became to tell a fragmented story, because we had 8 different guys escaping that all had different agendas, effectively, except for maybe Michael and Lincoln. And so it's not going to hang around and play the exoneration game with Michael and Lincoln, nor is Sucre, nor is Abruzzi. These guys all have to scatter to the winds because we had to establish that their motivation was so intense to break out of season 1 that they would stop at nothing to get to that end game. So the challenge was to be able to tell a cohesive story with, 6 or 7 different balls up in the air at once. So it became a kind of fragmented narrative, but for the most part, I think we pulled it off.
I think we all know, first of all, it starts with the script. Once you have a good story, whether it's the entire story of Prison Break, or it's these individual parts of the story known as episodes, it starts right there. And the way that Paul and Matt and the writing team has designed these scripts, it's a series, it's a show that is constantly on the move. And you have to be. When you have a group of escaped convicts from a prison, it's got to be moving.
The prison is a character, and not having that prison there took away so many of the devices. There's so many things inherent in a prison that give you story. Basically, our prison was the United States, was the world, was what was their obstacle. And that was the biggest difference for us, and the biggest challenge was, how do we get these obstacles, how do we make it real that these guys still have problems when they are free?
With season 2, there's trains, planes, automobiles, new towns. In one episode we could be in Chicago, New York, Utah, or just out on a road somewhere. So to try to find that and produce that in one episode is a huge task. I mean, kudos to Dallas crew, because the demand for production was so much higher than season 1, just physically and production-wise.
We sort of got to rely a little bit on Michael's tattoo in the first season, where we always could go, we could say, oh, well, there's this new tattoo over here, and that's never been there before, but, we would work it into a story and add that to Michael's tattoo. And we had something to sort of guide our episodes, the beginning, middle, and end of an episode, revealing what this tattoo actually means. We didn't do that so much the second season. So the story sort of just started steamrolling, like growing out of each other. The last episode ended badly. How are we going to get out of it this episode sort of became more the engine to it, rather than discovering a new tattoo and doing it that way. So I think that was a really big challenge, to sort of be getting away from that.
And so it was just kind of juggling individual storylines and finding a way either thematically to kind of make a whole for each episode, or to find just a way to have each storyline be compelling. And the thing we found out is that each actor was somewhere supporting in the first season. Once they get out second season, and this person has to carry their own storyline, every actor essentially had to be a lead. And so when you're dropping to any of these people, it's only them and their supporting cast at that point. So that's when you really find out who can kind of carry a storyline.
The most difficult part about doing the show really has to do with the actors that we put together in the ensemble that we started with in season 1. And I'm very fond of actors and their process. So the hardest thing for me is losing them and having to reestablish chemistry with different combinations of people, and that's an exciting thing, but it's also kind of a scary thing in a way, because chemistry is not always just there. And I think that was one of the things that made the show take off to begin with. I think that group of actors, that initial core ensemble, the original players, if you will, they were just tremendously talented, and they worked so well together, and it was easy to write for those folks because they really offered so much in terms of backstory and characterization.
Link, what do we got? Money, passports, prepaid phone cards. Archie Ryan. Did you see mine? Phineas McClintock.
All the characters changed going from season 1 to season 2. I think it was important for us as writers to find ways to keep these characters growing, because I think everyone's gonna operate differently, behave differently in prison than you are when you're on the run.
Once the gang escapes, thanks to TV and the media, everyone knows about it. This wasn't exactly the most quiet prison break in history.
I will gun you down, Schofield!
I was looking forward to leaving the prison behind, but now I look back on these long and leisurely scenes in the prison yard where we're just talking about this, that, and the other thing, occasionally wondering if a CO might be listening in. But this season, we're free, except every scene seems to have the sense of tension and dread, because anyone could be coming at you from anywhere at any time.
We are in business. It's going through.
It's not a question of him leaving the prison and that door is now shut. I think he is very much psychologically still behind bars, still dealing with the fallout from the loss of his relationship with Pope, who was a surrogate father, his relationship with Westmoreland, who was a surrogate father, and especially his relationship with Sarah. And I'd like to believe that Michael has a plan somewhere down the line to go back and make things right. I would like to believe that at the end of the show, you know, when Michael and Lincoln have their scuba shop somewhere in Mexico, that Sarah's working behind the counter.
Man, it's quiet out here. Inside there was always noise, you know. Someone yelling, guards making rounds. Kind of got used to it.
You're right. We should go back.
Season 1, there were 2 parts to Lincoln's journey. The first part was he'd given up hope and he was at peace with his destiny. Certainly didn't agree with it and certainly didn't want it to happen, but you know, the finality of the chair made Lincoln realize that, you know, he had to find redemption with the people around him. And then once Michael broke in, all of a sudden Link had hope. He didn't want the hope because he thought that Michael's plan of getting him out was stupid. That wasn't gonna happen. And season 2, Lincoln has touched his fire again. You know, his zest for life has come back. And we see that in his passion, in his volatility. And that's been really cool for me to bring those layers out in him.
For me, one of the biggest differences is I was working with a whole new set of actors. I worked almost exclusively with Wentworth last year. This year, for the first probably 6 or 7 episodes, almost all my work was with Paul Adelstein and John Hurd. You know, it feels completely different. We're in a different environment, we're in a different state, and the story's completely different. I mean, from my character's standpoint, you know, I'm essentially no longer a physician. And that requires a sort of bottom-up reinvention that's really exciting as an actor.
I got 3 words for you. We gotta run.
Sucre definitely has changed a bit. He's been thrown into a whirlwind, and we saw in season 2 a dark side to this guy that we'd never seen. Sucre was always the go-to man. He still is, you know, Michael's best friend. But he's been in circumstances and in situations when, of course, it all has to do about his girl, where you don't, when you corner an animal, you don't know how he's not going to react. And I have to say, Sucre has brought up colors that we never saw. This is a great character. This is a guy who will do anything for love, and nothing could stop him. Nothing can hold him back.
Hi there, I'm Brad Bellick with the FBI. I'm an agent with the FBI, Brad Bellick. Brad Bellick, I'm with the Bureau.
In Bellick's case, his character was completely reinvented. So he's outside of the prison. He doesn't have his job anymore, which was kind of his identity. You know, he's living with his mom. What's the guy gonna be like now that his kind of goal is to catch these guys and get the money? And then, of course, the $5 million. So it's a completely new season like that, I think, for a lot of the characters, because they're not in those confines, figuratively and literally anymore.
Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you.
You wouldn't? Really? Are you that stupid? Are you that stupid? Because now you are going to die! Season 1, it was fun to get into Kellerman's skin because I had to figure out how to make him human. That is, you know, he can go on autopilot, which is part of his job, but it was important to give him a purpose and a reason for why he was doing the things he was doing, which I think was pretty clear. In season 2, he kind of takes that to the extreme, then what happens is he starts questioning those things. And so as an actor, that was challenging because you build up a character and then you have to kind of find the cracks in that character and how that's going to manifest itself. And I think the writers did a really good job of writing that into it. So it was fun, but it was hard, but it's exactly what you want to do with a character, which is kind of show him or her in the most stress-inducing situations they can be in. And for Kellerman, that is him doubting what he's doing. You know, he's never had any doubts about what he's done before. And a lot of that baggage comes down on him in season 2.
Can I write a check for the food? Because I don't have...
Hello, Mrs. Hollander. They say a good woman is hard to find. Well, if that's true, you must be very, very, very good. Don't be frightened. Teddy's home.
One of the things I miss about the first season is the day-to-day hanging with my boys. There's a sense of family when we were all together last year as actors. Now as characters, of course, you know, they hate me and I hate them, so it's fine. But as an actor, I really miss them. And that's probably been the biggest challenge for me, is like, how do I find my niche? And again, it's okay that T-Bag can't find his niche because he's out, he's alone, and he's trying to survive. And you'll see in the first several episodes of the second season, there's, you know, every episode, the joke is, how many people is T-Bag gonna kill in this episode? And the trick is to make sure that I play it like that I absolutely had to kill these people. I didn't really want to kill them, but I have to in order to survive. It's just a little reminder I have to tell myself that that's why I'm doing it. Because otherwise, he's just crazy.
Two things in life are certain, Liz.
Lang.
Death, taxes, and the fact that a man on the run will make a mistake sometime in the first 72 hours. Needing distance, he'll steal a car. Needing money, he'll rob a store. Needing help, he'll trust someone that he shouldn't. And when he does, he will leave behind the crumbs that will take us right to him.
Well, in kind of conceptualizing Alexander Mahone, the writing staff kind of, you know, knew we had to get a nemesis for Michael, someone that was, you know, his intellectual equal, so it would be a chess match over the course of the season. And, you know, initially, you know, after we'd kind of broken the first few episodes, the idea was this guy was just a hard charger, a cop that really wants to get his man. And, you know, we've seen that a million times, but it's just like it's old. And so we were trying to find some pathos in the character, something that made him different, that made him vulnerable, that made him human. And we also kind of wanted, interestingly enough, we wanted him to be a victim, because if you really watch season 2, all the characters are a victim in some way, shape, or form to the conspiracy, right? So with Bill playing the role, he's one of those guys that's born with, you know, such an interesting look. You know, the camera takes to his face so well, so just the little tweak of an eye that he does is just so interesting. And that's hard to do. I mean, that speaks not just to like how he looks, but also how he's able to just move in microscopic little tweaks and the such, and so you're so curious about what's really going on behind those eyes. So in that sense, I think that we were psyched to get him, you know.
There's one big difference between you and I, Michael. You just proved it. You can't kill. And that's what it's gonna take to stop me. Because I don't have the same reservations. I can't.
I find it a little surprising at times when people just see Mahone as a one-note bad guy. I honestly think you're not really paying attention. The things that people in this show, characters in this show, Bill Kim, and on up in the company's aspect of the storyline, these people have something over him that they twisted. I mean, how do you think of this guy as a bad guy? They hit his 5-year-old with a car and broke his legs. What's a bad guy? Because he went after and buried somebody in his backyard. Wrong thing, can't do it. People shouldn't bury people in their backyard. But he went after a pedophile who was just a serial killer killing people, and finally one day just got him, and it was like, you know, the journey was too much. You know, he taunted him and he finally got him. Bad guy, but as he says in episode 14, God, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Turn me in? Go ahead, I don't care anymore. I killed a serial killer pedophile. I'm sorry.
Go tell the world about Shales. In fact, I will. I killed a predator, a man who tortured and raped women, and I buried him in my backyard. I'll do the time.
One of the great things about this season is you know, the twist that really Schofield brought back to Mahone. You know, he contacted his ex-wife, something that Mahone is not ready to deal with. But he opened that can of worms, and when he did, it really engaged Mahone's heart and you know, his life that has not had for a couple of years, and he brought it back to him. And now, as the season progresses, what else is there for Mahone right now? Get away from these people. He doesn't believe anybody anymore. He doesn't believe the FBI, doesn't believe the people that he's working for, doesn't believe anybody. He just wants to get home.
The news is not good. Burroughs was intercepted before I got here. It is a setback, but we're not that far behind.
Paul, calm down. It'll be all right. Someone will take care of it.
Someone who? Bill, tell me you're not bringing someone else in on this.
You didn't think you were alone on this, did you? You're a soldier. There's an army.
Well, Reggie Lee was kind of a heaven sent for us because we got in a situation at the beginning of the year where Patricia Wettig went to another series, and we didn't have a face for the conspiracy. And so we kind of had to replace her with somebody, and so we kind of put this front man in front of her, the guy that always said to Kellerman, you can't go in that door, she's behind that door, you can't go in there. And that was Reggie Lee. And he did such a great job that there's no question that we're going to bring him back, you know, again and again and again. And like I said, I mean, sometimes, you know, you just, you know, lightning strikes, and we were so fortunate to get Reggie because, I mean, he's awesome.
There's something you should know about me. I don't like being out in the field. I only do so when there's been a screw-up. I'm out in the field, Alex.
Then why don't you open the gate? You can hurry back to D.C. before your shoes get dirty.
We came to a real consensus about how this character was to be, because I really didn't want this guy to be your typical, you know, Secret Service bad guy, you know. And I told Matt, I said, listen, I've played a lot of bad guys. He goes, erase all that. Erase all that. This is different. This is completely different. And I had a great time. He said, this is Prison Break. For an actor, it's like, that gives you freedom, free reign to kind of create. And so Matt and I kind of created this wonderful little monster named Bill Kim. And I think because of that, and because of the fact that Patricia was gone, I think, you know, they were probably wanting to wrap up a portion of that conspiracy earlier and wrap me up earlier. But I think that because I just kept weaving into the storyline, and they kind of liked, thankfully for me, they liked what I was doing and what I was bringing to the role. And you know, you kind of have to find a reason as to why you smile. You know, why you do the things you do as an actor, and how you act the way you act. And eventually I came to terms with smiling for me was a source of power. You know, so that was everything. And then finally, you know, we came to these episodes, these last couple episodes where things would get to me. And that's when I really started to love it, because the emotions started to come out. And you saw the facade of Bill Kim kind of come down and go, okay, he is vulnerable, you know? And so I think they saw that, and they went, okay, then we can take this a little bit further. But I think the great thing that they do with this character, and for me, is that I think there's gotta be a character that you just, you know, there are characters that you love to hate. I think they're just characters that you just gotta hate. You don't love to hate them, you just downright hate them, you know, and that would be me. Two brothers that'll go to the ends of the earth for each other. Too bad only one of you'll survive.
think what happens is, from one season to another, all of the trappings change. But at the core of it, it's a very, very simple story. It's a story about people who wake up every day and think, what's the right thing to do? And almost everyone in the whole series is orbiting in that kind of universe.
What Michael Scofield did for his brother is unbelievable. Lincoln has risked his life for his brother repeatedly as well throughout the course of this show. Michael and Sarah, look what Sarah's doing for Michael, because she loves this man despite everything in her person telling her it's not probably the best thing for me. What Sino does for his family, what, as sick as it is, what the president did for Terrence Steadman. She loved him. It was a naughty little love, but she loved him. And what do you do for love, for people you love? And there are no boundaries. And that is a lot of what this show is about.
That sense of family, that never quite goes away, whether it's T-Bag trying to find his family, Mahone trying to get his roots back, the brothers trying to do the right thing to get their family as well. It just sort of takes care of itself, it seems. I mean, I know those writers put in a lot of work to try to make that work and figure it out. But it's so much in the muscles now of the piece to keep that in there. I would think it's almost secondary that that's going to be there. And every script I read, it still is there. It doesn't matter whether it was in prison or not.
Well, I think the reason why people like Prison Break so much is that the main theme of the show is the Greek theme of one brother sacrificing himself for his other brother.
It's a very Shakespearean show. It's about characters, it's about love, it's about betrayal, it's about murder. So reinventing the show, it really wouldn't matter as long as we keep those characters going. They've fallen in love with Michael, they've fallen in love with Lincoln. Some have fallen in love with Sucre. Believe it or not, some of them have fallen in love with T-Bag. It's a hate-love thing going. So as long as people are invested in these characters and we keep bringing great plot, as long as you give the audience things to cry for, things to laugh for, as long as you get these people invested and coming back every Monday, then we got a series.
I think we've 100% exhausted them being on the run and a bunch of different storylines. Very much enjoyed season 2, but to do it any more would just be kind of like a road movie almost, and that's not what the show is. The show is Prison Break. It's the bread and butter. And we, as a staff, once the idea kind of formulated where these guys would go back to a new prison, a different prison, the opposite of Fox River, we all respond to that creatively. So, it gives us a chance to kind of go back and the things that kind of Fox River gave us. The dynamics that go in there, the power plays that go on in there, the kind of brainstorming for an escape attempt, all that kind of stuff. We were ready for it creatively. And the actors are ready for it also, because after a year of not being in prison, we missed kind of being in prison. And so we're ready to go. We put a lot of stories to bed, a lot of the original conspiracy ideas to bed at the end of season 2. And what we want to do is open the door to a new chapter with a whole new central mystery, which is just slightly platformed at the end of season 2. And the first episode of season 3 really lays the foundation for what's so important that's in Sona. And also, we want to show a different, version of the prison world, which is this place is unlike any prison that we've ever seen, dramatized in American cinema or on TV. It's going to be a harsh, brutal place where you wish you had bars on your cell to keep them out from coming to you. So it's going to be, Prison Break stripped down, way more brutal, way more hardcore than you've ever seen it before. So it's going to be an exciting season.
I'm excited. I think we're attempting to do something here that is unprecedented. We're completely reinventing the show. It's a bold, ambitious move, and one that I don't think people have seen before.
It's no small feat to reimagine a show that seems to have worked twice in 2 very different incarnations. I mean, the law of averages would tell you that you've got a stutter step coming. But I have a lot of faith in our writers, and they consistently impress me with not only what they do, but how they do it. and I don't really know what's up their sleeve, but I have faith that it will be worth watching.
The biggest part of season 2 that I'll miss is a lot of the characters that we're putting to bed. All these great actors who we've come to love that we're not going to have, and then also the ones who we haven't killed but also aren't down in Panama with our guys. You know, I'll miss coming up with stories for them because they're such great actors and they bring, you know, so much to the screen.
You know, I'm looking forward and excited to see what happens in season 3. What's cool about the show is that each season is different. You know, we're not stuck in a hospital or a courthouse. We don't know what's going on, and you know, it's exciting for an actor to have that opportunity because I think primarily actors are restless creatures, and if we get stuck doing the same thing for too long, we get bored and irritable. And Prison Break's been a blessing in that. It really allows actors to do different things and have different themes and genres for each year.
I have to say the show, it keeps reinventing itself. Season 1 is completely different than season 2. And now season 3, who knows? I don't even know where we're going with it. Basically it's funny because I always get spoon-fed. And I kind of like it like that because it keeps me grounded, it keeps me on the edge, you never know. Any of us could go tomorrow. A lot of people are very conservative and they want to keep it the same way it is. A lot of fans are like, well, where are you guys going to go now? I mean, it all has to do with grabbing that audience, keeping the one we have and grabbing a new audience all the time. And it has to do with new plots and new twists and new roller coasters. I mean, if you take me for a ride and you're giving me something I believe in, I'm hooked, I'm in. So season 3, I don't know what it's in store, but knowing these guys, I know it's going to be something insane.
I love playing Kellerman, and he may not be gone. Then again, he may be, but maybe not. Maybe he's dead, but maybe he's not dead. So if you know Kellerman, you know that, I don't know, I don't think he'd go quietly, so I'll leave you with that.
I am thankful to all of you for supporting this monster. And I love you all. And I'm signing off. This is Bill Kim. Off with a smile.
I just want to say it's great to have this chance to be a part of a show like this, to be working with all of these great writers, actors, directors, and producers. It's a real gift.
It's been an amazing, amazing experience to grow as an actor, to grow with this family of actors. And you realize, as somebody being alive, that you never know when it's going to end. You know, one by one, these characters start to go away. Yes, they'll bring new ones in, but when one of them goes away, it's like losing a family member, in a way. And the memories of this show have been so, so rich. And the beautiful thing about it, hopefully, is that it will continue, that I'll continue, that each of us will continue. But at the same time, as actors, we know what is good for the story. And I love the fact that the audience has continued to be ravenous for this show, that they've supported it even more in the second season than they did the first season. And the memories are better than they were the first year. And I'm so thankful to everyone I've worked with and for this opportunity, because it's been a great gig, great gig.
You never quite know what's going to happen on Prison Break. There's always something new around the next corner. And if you try and anticipate it around the next corner, usually you're going to be surprised. And I think that continues to help bring the audience back, not to mention the depth of each and every one of the characters, the actors that are on this show. They're all entirely different. I think that knowing that not only is every episode a cliffhanger, but every commercial break's a cliffhanger. And that brings out that desire in you to want more.
You know, one of the things that I would just like to say is a big thank you to the fans. Their devotion to these characters means a lot to us, because we spend a lot of time falling in love with them too, and so the audience, their attachment to them is really important to us, and a special thank you to them for keeping on the show and for keeping us honest and pointing out things when we miss them, and for their enthusiasm and their praise and their like of the show. So thank you for that.